the Super Speedway.
Welcome to episode 222 of the Super Speedway podcast, recorded Tuesday, February 8th, 2022. I'm your host, Eric Young, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, James Cush. James, halfway through this podcast, we're going to take a break for a performance by Ice Cube. I hope you're ready.
I would love that. If we actually got Ice Cube on the podcast, that would be great.
I have ice cubes right there. I was ready.
Oh man, we were so cool there for a second.
I know.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we don't want to mislead people.
Right.
We don't want people to think this is going to be a cool podcast.
No. We are what we are.
So we are back this week to break down the Busch Light clash at the Coliseum. Not a whole lot in our notes today, but I anticipate still that it'll be a typical length podcast. I've got a lot of stuff to say about this race. So I've talked to James a little bit leading into this. I have some ideas on directions he's going to go, but I don't know for sure. So we're either going to completely disagree tonight, or we're going to be on the same page, which is, I mean, I guess that's the only two options you could have. But
it's the only two options you can have, unless you stay right on the fence, which typically we don't try to do. So
I don't think I'm going to be on the fence tonight. So before we get into the race, I wanted to congratulate Joey Logano on getting the win. Before we talk about the clash at all, James, I think the thing that I found interesting about this race is I drew a lot of parallels to this race and the dirt race at Bristol last year. And because we went into two places where everybody had an empty notebook. Mm-hmm. Everybody essentially was on as equal ground as they're going to be on, especially this weekend. But even at Bristol, everybody's pretty much on equal ground. Yeah, equipment's a little bit different, but nobody knew what to expect. Nobody knew what they were doing. And both times you've seen Joey Logano come in and struggle in practice and not look good.
Yep.
And then come out and win the race.
He wins the weird ones, as I tweeted on Sunday.
Coming off of a year like he had last year, where he was not at the level that you'd expect Joey Logano to be necessarily, I think these equalizer races show, which I don't think there's any doubt, it shows that Joey Logano's got some damn talent.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
No
I
doubt
would
about
not
it.
have picked him to win this race.
No doubt about it. Yeah, he won one race last year, and
Right.
that was the dirt race at Bristol. So yeah, he's and no doubt about his talent. You know, he's always been I mean, that's the reason he was sliced bread,
Right.
You know, all those years ago, which is crazy now. It's been so long.
I know.
That he's been on the series, but yeah, it's cool. I mean, it was a battle, and the race kind of broke in his favor, and he got up front when he needed to, and yeah, he had some luck. I mean, definitely had some luck and had some things go his way, but you got to be in position, and on a day where you don't even think about him, this is what he does. He does this he does this quite often. It's not dissimilar, I guess, to Kevin Harvick being the closer. Like, you know, all those years ago when Harvick was, you know, that's all he was known for, was finishing races in the last two laps. Joey just somehow shows up, gets better all weekend, and finds himself up front when it matters most. So pretty cool. Great win, and epic burnout with the new car. So yeah, he's the first one who got a chance to burn it down with all that too. So really cool.
Joey, you mentioned a little bit of luck helping him out. I think certainly his good luck was Tyler Reddick's bad luck, because I don't know if you were catching that 8 car the way he was running in this thing.
Oh, dude, yeah. He was the class of the field.
Yeah, 51 laps led. Kyle Busch led 64, and Joey Logano led 35. Only 3 leaders in the 150 lap final. Which, I mean, if you look at the grand scheme of things, may be disappointing for a race like this. I'm sure NASCAR would have liked to see some more lead changes, particularly in the last, 20 or so laps when things just kind of ran out.
Yeah. Tires started to play a factor, and you had Kyle Larson, who was super aggressive.
Yeah.
But you definitely used up his stuff getting to the front from where he was. And slid back. But yeah, you had Austin Dillon, who obviously he's got the same stuff as Tyler Reddick now, and yeah, he was there. He was actually building momentum. If this race had gone longer, I would have liked to have seen what he could have done with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then Eric Jones.
Yeah.
Right, Eric, there's your
I didn't even realize he was fourth.
Yeah, there's your example of, hey, maybe this car is an equalizer just a little bit. So we got a little bit of a glimmer there.
I think we got some other glimmers of equalizers as well, which we'll talk about as we get along.
Yeah, we got plenty. Yeah, we got plenty to get into. But yeah, it was a cool top 5. It was we're going to talk a lot about this. We're going to talk about a lot about different aspects of this race. Maybe we should just get into it eventually here.
I kind of want to talk about the race itself as a traditional race. And then we'll talk about the spectacle of the whole thing because
sounds good.
I think we kind of, to me,
they're two separate.
Yeah, personally, it's two very different things. Because honestly, the race was a race. I mean, it was a race. It was okay. Obviously the dramatic part of the day was the final last chance race, which we'll talk about in a minute.
Oh boy.
But that was the closest we got to a cluster F this weekend, in my opinion.
It was, yeah.
We were right on the edge of it, maybe over the edge. I don't know, but so the end of this race, Joey Logano gets the lead from Kyle, 35 laps to go, and leads to the end. Kyle starts closing in, and then gets to him, and then slips. And James, I think what we saw here was experience costing Kyle Busch the win in this race, because Kyle knew, as a driver with short track experience and as a veteran driver, that if he got to the back bumper of Joey Logano and moved him out of the way, he was getting wrecked.
Yeah.
And so he got there and thought, okay, good, I'm here. I can just race him for it and wait to make that final move. And Joey saved just enough stuff to the end to where he could pull away when it mattered and when Kyle would make that move.
Yep.
And that was it. It was done.
Yep. Yeah, and I will put an asterisk on this and to say Tony Stewart actually surprised me with his analysis in the booth. But that is something he talked about early in that last run, was with the way it was breaking for Joey, where how do you lead a race when you're in this position, when you're approaching lap traffic, but you're not getting a whole lot of pressure behind you.
Yep.
And Joey did kind of like Tony was talking to him a little bit. He saved his stuff and didn't catch the traffic too fast. And when he did, thankfully it was his teammate, Ryan Blaney, who was able to pull out of the way.
And then the caution came out.
Yeah, and then
well, I guess he did catch Blaney at the end, didn't he?
At the end, yeah. But the caution came up before. But yeah, I mean, Joey was definitely faster than Kyle, and Kyle actually caught not a lucky break, but he caught a caution at the halfway point, where Joey was tracking him down there too.
Well, Joey passed him, but passed him after.
Yep, they didn't give it to
the
him.
Halfway finished.
Exactly. So yeah,
which Kyle, I don't know why NASCAR threw the caution and didn't do the green-white checker instead. Because the green-white checker, as you cross the line, it's over with. But when you throw the caution, you think that the race doesn't stop until the caution flies. So
yeah, the guys were still racing. I mean, they were still battling for position. So
Joey moved Kyle after.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
So
absolutely. But yeah, I mean, it was he just ran a great race, and that was the thing that I mentioned last week, and that if you listen to what I said at the end of the podcast last week, where I said let's just not have this track be a complete disaster, and so far exceeded my expectations with the way it was. I mean, obviously it was hard to drive. It was a nice rink out there, right? And the drivers said as much,
especially in qualifying. Oh my god,
right? But it wasn't a single file train. Guys were able to get runs and use the bumper. I mean, you can't, you're not going to be able to set a pace like you would at a mile and a half or anywhere else.
It reminded me a little bit of a Formula One like hairpin turn, James, because you couldn't go into the turn and come out of the turn low. You had to either go in low or come out low, and whichever one you did, the other driver could do the opposite and get underneath you. It was perfect. I mean, I thought when I first saw the track that those corners were too tight.
It was raceable.
I think the tight corners made the passing able to happen.
Well, and you listened. We were talking before the show, but you said you listened to Jeff and Jordan.
Yeah.
On the teardown, and they said on that podcast that the drivers didn't think the old car would have even been able to race on this track with the way it was set up.
Not only would it not have been able to race on this track, but it wouldn't have survived this track.
Probably not. Yeah,
it was mentioned on both DBC and Teardown. We did not have a flat tire.
Yep.
We had
that's right.
Wheels ripped off, but all the contact we had no flat tires as a result of
exactly.
it.
Yep. Which is great. It's going to allow for some great short track racing in the future too. But yeah, I mean, I thought that was a great sign. A lot of positives from how the track was constructed to how the car performed, and just talking as, you know, we can talk about this as a race like we are.
Right.
And I think that's pretty cool that we had a track that was raceable at a quarter mile inside of a football arena. So
yeah, it was incredible. One more thing I want to hit on the race before we get into the overall discussion of it. I don't remember what lap it was, but Kyle Larson and Justin Haley get into a little bit. Haley bumps Larson out of the way, and Larson cleaned him out.
Yeah, that was lap 116. Getting closer to the end. Yep.
So, question for you, and again, this was brought up on DBC, but I feel the same way. That response, first of all, we don't see Larson do that sort of thing very often. That response was because it was Justin Haley, right? It's because it's a young kid coming up, and he's getting pushed around, basically.
Yeah, and I think Kyle Larson understood the assignment of what this was. Like, this is a show, man. I don't have to be my quote unquote normal self here. I can give it to you a little bit, and man, he doled it out. A lot of drivers were doing that. I mean, we saw some hooks.
Mm-hmm. Todd Gilliland in the heat race with Eric Almirola.
Eric got hooked. We saw a lot of that kind of stuff. I mean, everything Ty Dillon was doing we'll get into that probably. But yeah, I mean, it was, you know, and I think part of that too, a little bit of that is Larson's, hey man, I'm the champ now.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta come for my crown. I'm not putting up with your nonsense. And I kind of like that. I hope we see more of that from him.
So my question is, Justin Haley's a rookie. He's running the full season. What should he do now?
I don't think it's anything to retaliate about.
I think
it's a show. It's a show.
They talked about it on DBC. And of course, now disclaimer: Brett Griffin on the show is Justin Haley's spotter this season. But I think if you're Justin Haley, if you just sit back and let this happen, the next guy's going to do it to you too, and the next guy's going to do it to you too. I'm not saying he needs to go out and wreck Larson at Daytona. He shouldn't do that, but it should be harder for Larson to pass him maybe than anybody else.
Yep.
He needs to make it known that that he's not going to get pushed around, or he's going to be pushed around. They used Johnny Benson as an example of a driver that was too nice in his career and got pushed around a lot as a result and didn't go anywhere because of it, at least in the Cup Series. And so,
I don't think Justin Haley's going to have a problem with that.
No, he won't. I don't think he's going to back down.
No, he doesn't lack confidence. So if that's the approach he wants to take, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
I think this race itself is a unique. You know, this race is more. You know, this race is more professional wrestling than actual racing.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm totally fine with, you know, it being the madhouse a little bit, and then you just leave it there. You leave it there and you go on.
Yeah.
I don't think Kyle Larson's going to rough Justin Haley up again. I wouldn't expect that out of Kyle Larson. Would I be surprised? Yeah, I think I would.
Right.
So that's not who he is, and that's not who he's ever been.
We got to see Blaney lose it a little bit. No, don't get to see that very often. We didn't see it because we were watching on Fox, and Fox never showed the Hans toss.
Yeah, Fox is the best at showing commercials when there's stuff going on.
Yeah, nothing better than a quarter-mile track for a 20-lap commercial break during green flag conditions.
I was furious.
Yeah, me too.
Lap 30 to 44, no racing at all on TV.
Yeah, and they didn't even go side by side for that.
Nope, missed it all. Terrible.
Ridiculous.
Eric, those were the only laps of racing I missed all weekend.
Me too.
I watched every lap from the heat from. I watched some practice. I didn't watch all of it.
I had it on. I didn't necessarily watch it specifically.
I watched the entire qualifying session. I watched all the heat races, and the only laps that I didn't have my eyeballs on the screen was when Fox chose to take it away from me.
Yep.
So thank you, Fox. Even though I didn't miss anything, but that's okay.
Right. I'm trying to think. Is there anything else really worth discussing in this? I guess before. Let's go ahead.
No, I was just going to
say... I'm not done by any means, just the race itself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and speaking on the race itself, I think what we saw too was, going back into the heat races,
Yeah.
especially, I definitely thought we saw a handful of drivers making business decisions
Hmm.
with this new car. Brad Keselowski being number one, I didn't think he took hardly any major chances. I mean, he roughed it up a little bit,
Yeah.
but he was definitely protecting his stuff. And I saw a handful of other drivers doing the same.
Well,
Where,
Martin Truex Jr. was my jackass corner for
yeah,
not running the last chance race because
well,
he
that
was
was,
automatically in until I saw the last chance race. And then I'm
yeah,
like, wow, that was a really smart decision because that
and
was a
that was
demolition
James
derby.
Small. Yeah, that was James Small making that call. Like Martin said, we think it's gonna get wild. And
Hmm.
honestly, the 19 car didn't do anything anyway,
No,
so didn't really
it
matter if
might
he
have
was in
helped to have
the
the extra laps, but
yeah.
I don't know. Extra laps with Ty Dillon on the track probably wouldn't have helped him much.
Holy cow, man!
All
That
right,
was. You want to get into it?
yeah, let's talk about Ty.
That
Let's
was
talk about
some of.
that. Let's talk about that race in general because
Yeah,
you
let's
had
go
Ty
ahead.
Dillon, you had Austin Cindric, both incredibly aggressive in this race.
Yep.
We got, like I said, we teetered on the edge of crap show. I don't feel like we got there entirely, but we were damn close
Yeah,
to a crap show.
It was getting a little bit dangerous as far as this is getting a little bit out of hand. And most of that was a result of the 42 car being out there, honestly,
But
in
here's
my
the
opinion.
thing, like I am well, if we were DBC, I'm spot off on Ty Dillon, but not because of his aggressiveness, because he jumped the restart and cost himself the
Twice he
race.
jumped the restart.
3 times
Twice.
actually, but he only got penalized for it twice.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, I'm all right with the contact, to be quite honest. I think, I mean, if I'm racing against him, I'm not, but from a fan's perspective, this is Ty Dillon's chance, man. He's back in the Cup Series. He needs to make a name for himself this year. And yeah, he
Mm-hmm.
probably pissed a bunch of people off at this race, but he can't sit back and let people beat him. He's got to go out there and take it this year, or he's gonna be done.
Yep.
And I think he knows it. And so he was aggressive, and it's a race that you're expecting some aggression. Actually, was surprised that the whole weekend was as clean as it was, and I think that was largely due to the fact that there's a significant number of parts that were on cars this weekend, if not the cars themselves, that are going to be in Daytona in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Or if not in Daytona, in California the week after. So I think next year we run this race again and we see a lot more contact because people aren't so scared to tear stuff up.
Yeah, that's probably right.
But I mean, I thought Ty did what he needed to do, but screwed up with those restarts, man. And I find it ironic that the guy who lost his Cup career originally because Geico left, lost his chance in the final because of the Geico restart zone. So
Yeah, that's true. Twice. I mean, two penalties on it.
he wasn't even close either.
No, he was just excited.
That last
And,
restart, he was the leader, so he was the go-kart, but you can't go 3 car lengths
Yeah.
before the restart zone.
For a guy who has as much Cup experience as him too, I'm just surprised how scattered he drove.
Yeah, I'm with you. And, it doesn't surprise me for Austin Cindric. Harrison Burton was really aggressive too. That doesn't surprise me. Those guys are coming from the Xfinity Series that races like that every week.
Yep.
But yeah, Ty did surprise me that it really surprised, because Ty's never come across to me as an aggressive driver like that. And there were no F's given.
No.
Let's just say that.
Nope. He definitely did not make any friends on the track.
No.
But I think too, the way that Eric Jones ended up running in this race, Ty probably had some pretty good stuff compared to most out there.
Well, he was fast. I mean,
he was
faster than the car ahead of him every time.
Yeah. He's got to be careful. Like, I understand this is probably his last chance at this, but he's got to also drive under control,
right?
And not be. I know this is a special event. I'm trying not to judge his entire season off of this. I mean, this thing,
yeah.
But it's still. I mean, he was wild, absolutely wild. That whole last chance too was really wild.
Yeah, it was really weird. It's like it just built the whole race. I mean, even the last heat race was the wilder heat race too.
Yeah, Heat 4 and Last Chance 1 where it was not as crazy. But yeah, Last Chance 2, holy smokes, man. That was That was a lot. There was a lot going on there.
Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah. So let's talk about the whole thing. First of all, I'll let you go first on this, James. Let's talk track. Let's talk Coliseum. And then we'll evaluate the car as well, because I wanna keep those separate. I think, because although they're one and the same, they both build into the same thing. I think we learned a lot about the car this weekend, and what we learned from the Coliseum isn't going to change much for the rest of the season. So,
Yep.
What'd you think of what? Let's do this. Grade the weekend, and then we'll break it down. What would you give it, A through E? What would you give the weekend for NASCAR?
For NASCAR?
Yeah.
Oh, it's an A. It is an A.
Okay.
A for NASCAR.
How about as a fan?
As people who love the sport, yeah, it was an A.
Okay.
Yep.
I would say, as far as, I mean, A plus, across the board. I think, for one, I think this race did exactly what NASCAR wanted it to do.
Yep.
It
There's no fighting it.
It exposed our sport to a giant fan base that it has not been a part of our sport. Between 60 and 70% of the people that were there have never been to a race before.
Yep.
One thing that they talked about on DBC that I don't think TV captured was the excitement there. No, they didn't fill the place, but they were cheering, according to the DBC guys, every pass that was made, every bump, every contact that was made, the place went crazy. And that's, we don't see it. Brett Griffin, I think it was Brett Griffin, said it was on par with Dale Earnhardt Jr. taking the lead at Talladega in a sold out race. That's what the reactions were there.
Yep.
And I think, the whole thing was a spectacle, and the drivers seemed to enjoy it. They seemed to appreciate it for what it was. We saw Ryan Blaney get upset, but he was laughing in the interview seconds after he threw the Hans device.
Yeah.
You saw Kurt Busch, who I figured was going to be irate when he got out of his car, and he gets out and compliments the event.
Yeah.
So
I think, again, the drivers, most of the drivers understood what this was.
Yep.
They knew, like Kyle Busch wasn't going to crawl out of the car like he did in 2008 and say, "This car sucks."
Right.
And I think we've come a long way since those early days of that kind of thing. So yeah, the drivers knew they had to, even if they didn't like the racing, they had to be a cheerleader for the sport. Take one for the team. If they didn't like this race, they sure as heck didn't make it known. I mean,
right.
You heard drivers complaining about the track at times, but that's when they had to get up and get on their horse for qualifying and get out there and put down a fast time, because that's the competitive part of them that wants to be the best, which does come out, which I was really happy to see. Like, I want the drivers to be a little frustrated by the track. That's a great thing. And that was part of the, the amazing thing about this racetrack is they started this thing in September and had a raceable surface, which was just incredible.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you is
incredible.
if you were at the range, if you were Ben Kennedy, this is Ben Kennedy's deal. If you were Ben Kennedy, evaluate this weekend, look at that racetrack, what would you change about that track?
I'd put some banking in the corner.
Think so?
I think I would, yeah.
I don't think it's needed.
I'd get it up to 12 degrees ish, somewhere up there. I definitely would give them
I think
something.
You put banking in there, you make it a one groove track.
Maybe.
I think you get rid of the passing opportunities. Dude, we went 3 wide. We went almost 4 wide at one point on this track.
You're still going to have to use the bumper, whether there's banking or not.
Right.
You're going to have to get to the bottom and if you can't bank it. You can't bank it like Bristol. The cars aren't going fast enough. You gotta. Well, you can't put too much in there.
And I'm glad you said that, because that was the next question I was going to have. Did you feel this was too slow? Did you feel like the cars were going too slow?
They were going pretty slow.
I thought they looked a hell of a lot faster than I expected them to. They weren't fast.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But even going through the corners, I mean, they were doing 40 miles an hour in the turns. But
Fox did a good job of keeping it close.
Yeah.
But anytime you saw a shot from far away, they looked like they were crawling. But again, Eric, like you said, 70% of the people in the stands had never been to a race before.
Yep.
They don't give a crap.
No.
What the speed looks like. You and I would notice. You and I notice what crawling looks like.
Right.
They don't care.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, Fox. I thought Fox shot the race really well. They had a couple of issues, but I mean, it's a new venue. And it's Fox.
I'm really struggling with Fox, because I think some of the things that Fox did were great, but I think Fox dropped the ball majorly in other aspects.
Oh, totally.
So,
Jeff Gordon not showing up for the Grand Marshal thing was probably the peak.
Yeah. There was that.
That was pretty funny.
I think Fox did a bad job of showing us the race. I mean, I think we did the Fox thing a lot where we followed the leaders and didn't follow the battles in the pack a lot. I think we missed some stuff. It should have been pretty easy to get video of everything we wanted to see inside a stadium.
Side-by-side cameras, I think. Side-by-side screen would have been a lot better too.
Well, see, and this was mentioned on DBC, and it made me realize why I don't like it. So, not just NASCAR, but everybody now, football, Supercross, which I watch a lot, which I'm going to draw some more parallels to Supercross here shortly. But Supercross does it, NASCAR does it, the 2 camera shots where we show 2 screens at the same time. We take your big screen and we shrink it down into 2 small screens that both suck. And now consider the fact, James, that probably, I don't know, a good percentage of your fans are watching on a mobile phone or an iPad.
Could be.
That's bad to shrink your screen down like that. I think they need to reconsider the small side-by-side screens in these races.
I'll push back on that because the most popular thing in the NFL is the Red Zone channel, and that's up to 6 screens on your screen at one time.
Yeah.
So,
but nothing happens in football. I mean, there's a difference.
That's true.
Football is excitement for 3 seconds and then nothing for 5 minutes. I mean, so
true.
I don't know. I couldn't figure out why it bothered me so much. And then when Brett Griffin mentioned it, it's like, yeah, you're right. Cause I watch probably 75% of the time I'm watching on my iPad. Yeah. I watched a lot of practice on my phone this weekend because I was busy all weekend.
How much TV is Brett Griffin watching? Honestly.
True.
But, I mean, I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. I don't mind. I mean, Christ, we've got 70-inch TVs and stuff now. We've got plenty of room for screens.
Yeah, I don't know. My household, I got a 50-inch TV, and I use it very little anymore.
That's probably what I got. I don't know. I can't even remember what the size of my TV is. It's been too long.
So very polarizing. We had a pre-race concert, and more importantly, we had a halftime concert. Ice Cube performed at halftime.
Ice Cube was great.
Some people hated it. Some people loved it. I will admit I watched the race delayed and I skipped it, but it wasn't because I hated it.
I gotta tell you, there was a lot of white people dancing on Fox, and the internet is having a field day making fun of us for all the white people dancing to Ice Cube. So that was part of it. But I mean, I thought Ice Cube was great. I couldn't turn the TV up too loud. I had my girls in the living room with me, and I just don't know what Ice Cube's gonna say. But I did not watch Pitbull. I'm sorry. I know he's an owner. I just can't. I honestly physically makes me sick. So,
but I mean, like, how could you be upset about it? It was a halftime break. There was going to be nothing going on anyway. Why not have a concert?
Yeah, it's just an exhibition. That's fine.
I mean, I don't have an issue with it. I don't have an issue with the pre-race concert. I think it's great. I
didn't hear DJ Ski very often during the caution flags. Yeah.
Well, you had 2 rappers perform at a NASCAR race. I mean, in Los Angeles, like, I mean, I get that there is a demographic in our sport that just wants to dig their heels in and still be a Southern sport. But I'm sorry, this is NASCAR, and if you don't like it, I'm sorry.
I prefer country music, but
but I would prefer. I mean, country music to me is more appropriate for a family environment.
The younger version of me was definitely into the Ice Cube stuff back in the day. So, he was good. I mean, I listened to a few of the songs a little bit, and it was kind of cool just to see him kind of be an ambassador for the day. So, pretty cool, man. I was really okay with it.
Disappointed because we're not disagreeing on anything, James.
Oh, we'll get there. Don't you worry.
All right, so A+, A for NASCAR, A for the fan base.
I will. You know what? While we're talking about this, this is where we're going to disagree.
Okay.
I think people who are close to the sport and inside the sport think this was a bigger deal than it actually was.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
100%. Yep.
Okay.
I have listened to a couple of different outside NASCAR type podcasts and people and seeing what they're saying, and it's not lovey-dovey across all sports like I think the industry thinks it was.
Okay, I actually don't disagree with you there either.
And what I tweeted to Jeff Gluck today, because Jeff was throwing out numbers about, well, the ratings. This is look what going to the Coliseum means for ratings.
Yeah.
Let me push back on that really quick too. When can NASCAR promote an upcoming event during the biggest sport of the season's biggest games?
Right.
We promoted the crap out of this thing during the NFL playoffs. Every football game that was on TV for the last month has been, bam, in your face, here comes the Clash. Right. Everything Fox is doing is pushing the Clash. You know how much money, I couldn't even estimate how much money NASCAR put into promoting this event. I would guarantee you, Eric, that if you combine the promotion for every other race on the entire circuit and put it up against the Clash, I bet you the Clash has more money in promotion alone than the rest of the series. And what I tweeted at Jeff Gluck was, you can't promote the crap out of a race at Pocono during the NFL playoffs because it's in the middle of the summer.
Right.
And you're going to definitely draw a crap ton of eyeballs to the screen. Yes, there are people who are interested in the novelty, college football fans, what have you. But the fact that NASCAR did a great job putting this thing in front of everybody during, again, using the NFL as its bar, I guess, the footing to get this out in front of people. Yeah. They put it on main Fox and they promoted the crap out of it.
That's what I was gonna say. Let me.
And they got a decent bump. Out of it.
Let me give you the stats here. So Fox earned a 2.32 rating, 4.283 million viewers for the Busch Light Clash on Sunday on jski.com, up 168% from last year's Clash. However, last year's Clash was on Fox Sports 1. Mm-hmm. James, when was the last time that the Busch Clash, or whatever they called it at the time, was on Fox? I'll tell you, it was 2016. And guess what? 2016 earned a higher rating than this race. So Fox did it. I mean, the fact that it was on Big Fox.
Big Fox.
And this is one of those things where I want to give Fox praise, because not only was it on Big Fox, but so were the heat races. So was the Last Chance race. Fox devoted a giant chunk of time. Race Hub was on Fox.
They tried to steal basically the mini off season of the NFL, where all you're trying to do is beat the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, which the Pro Bowl sucks.
Pro Bowl sucks, but still outrates this kind of stuff. Yeah. It still draws eyeballs, which I don't understand. It's the most useless event ever. Like, why wouldn't you watch this instead of the Pro Bowl? I haven't watched the Pro Bowl in over 30 years, and I don't know. I'm just guessing. But yes, Big Fox and more races on the main networks, please. And I know, ESPN's circling the wagons a little bit for the next TV contract. So if we can get the big networks on the big channels, let's stay away from FS1 and all that. You're going to get bigger numbers. The Daytona 500 will be a big draw. Yeah. Like it always is. That's what I'm saying, Eric. I think I believe that what you said about those numbers right there backs my argument that yes, the people in the industry and people close to NASCAR loved this event. And if you were a new fan, you were at that event, we hope you stick around, because that's what it was all about. I just don't think that, we're getting a whole lot of eyeballs outside of the industry looking at this thing and going, wow, that's NASCAR. I'm gonna check that out. I don't think that did it. I think that did it.
I think it was a big deal for NASCAR outside of NASCAR, but it wasn't life altering.
No,
this is not going to change the trajectory. NASCAR, if it increases in popularity this year, is going to increase in popularity because it's increasing in popularity. It's not because of this race. And if it is because of this race, James, these people that tuned into this race this weekend and saw what they saw are going to tune in 2 weeks to Daytona. Maybe they'll get through Daytona. They're going to tune into California the week after, and they're going to go, this isn't what I saw at the Coliseum.
Yep.
And they're going to stop watching it because it's not this spectacle that it is at the Coliseum.
Yep.
We're special. Will we gain some fans from it? Yeah, we will.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, a few.
Anytime you go to a new market, you're going to do that.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, you took one thing I think that this did, James, and you may disagree with me on this. I think I mentioned it off air. Is I think, and I know we can't do a points, at least at this point, can't do a points paying race at a venue like this, but
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the nail in the coffin on the reconfiguration of California.
And I disagree with that because I just don't. I think they're going to need the market.
I don't think you're going to put the millions of dollars into the reconfiguration of that racetrack when you can spend $1 million and do this. Do we get 60,000 people? I don't know. Do we get 60,000 people at Fontana? I don't think we do anymore.
No, we probably don't. Probably 30.
Yeah.
I would get. Well, it's been 2 years. I don't know. We'll see in a couple of weeks.
Right. So
But
I don't know.
I don't know.
I think this event. I think this event showed that there are short tracks in this country, and there are other places in this country that we can focus on rather than tearing up a track we already have. I could be
But
wrong.
I would argue that we could use that short track even more now because we'll have stadiums.
Let me
and
say
short
this,
tracks.
James. I'm not saying that I want this to happen. I still want California to reconfigure because I'm excited about that track.
Me too.
Basically, that track that they're going to build there is a big version that can race a points-paying race of what we just saw this weekend.
Yep.
I mean, it really is. It's this track bigger with banking.
Yep. And we're not. We may go back to the Coliseum next year, but after that, I'm not thinking that we're going to be going there every year.
No, I don't think we're going to go there, but I think we're going to go to stadiums.
It's going to move around.
The problem with that is, though, James, is that the reason that the Coliseum works is because the Coliseum was built for the Olympics, and the Coliseum was built to house an Olympic track. And most arenas in our country do not have enough room to put an Olympic track. So you cannot put a quarter-mile racetrack inside of the University of Michigan Big House.
Right.
You know, you can't put a quarter-mile racetrack inside. Maybe you could do it at Jerry's World down there in California.
Maybe.
I'm not sure. Minneapolis might, because Minneapolis, the seats retract. They might be able to put it in their new stadium.
Yeah.
How cool would that be to have an indoor NASCAR race? I mean, that'd be pretty.
That would be pretty cool. We've been talking about that for a long time.
So, I mean, it does limit you a little bit. Could you run a smaller track than a quarter mile? I guess, but this was pretty tight. I wouldn't want to go much tighter than this.
No, you can't. Yeah, unless you can go more round. But yeah, I saw Wembley Stadium.
Yeah, I did hear that one
in England. That's because it's a massive place.
Yeah. Which I think
idea.
that's the best chance of taking NASCAR to another country is this stadium concept. Yep. So that's the question, James. Now, as NASCAR, you know, we really like to take something that's cool and then screw it up by doing it a bunch of times.
Yes, we do.
What do you think? Do we do this once? Do we do this a couple times a year? Do we do this half the season? Do we never do it again? What do you think? What should we do?
This was too much of a success not to come back and do it again next year at least and make this will be our Field of Dreams game, our Winter Classic.
Yeah.
You know, this is what this is going to end up being for a while. I don't know. I think the All-Star race is in trouble in Texas.
Oh, yeah. They was that Gluck that talked about that we'll never see the All-Star race again on a 1.5 mile track.
Yep. Yeah. This will be the last one.
Yeah, I agree.
Even
if we aren't going to do this, even if we aren't going to do 2 stadium races a year, I think this shows that you can build an entire track inside a stadium. Yep. You should be able to spend some money and put some safer barriers at Hickory.
Yep.
You know, or South Boston and run an all-star race on a short track somewhere.
And it gives you the ability to get into markets that you may not be able to reach. Right. NASCAR travels fairly well, but we're not in downtown LA. We're not in downtown New York.
Yep.
You know,
that's where I expect to see the eyes go is the Meadowlands.
Yep.
I really expect to see us in some capacity looking at a race there in the next 3 years. Easy.
Yep. Absolutely.
Because NASCAR's wanted to be
places like that.
NASCAR's wanted to be in New York City forever. I mean, and now you can do it in a stadium, you know.
Yep.
Or do it in the parking lot.
Yeah, you could go to and this is me talking, not being super familiar with the infrastructure of some of these places. Like, you know, I know Ford Field. It doesn't work.
Right.
Would it work in Pittsburgh? I don't know. I have never been to Heinz Field. Would it work in Toronto? I don't know.
Yeah.
You said Jerry's World out in Texas. I mean, that seems like, I don't think Jerry, I mean, that's a football heaven. I don't know if Jerry would do it.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, there's places out there that, you know, you could go to, Texas is a bad example, but you could be in the Dallas or Houston market with something like this. But again, those aren't the LA Coliseum, which makes it a little bit easier.
Right.
But then again, like, you know, Monster Jam and Supercross, they find a way.
Well, that was the next thing I wanted to mention. So
yeah,
Jeff said on the teardown, and Jeff and Jordan disagreed about the show. It can't be a show every weekend. You can do it once, but you lose the integrity of the race by having the show around it. And I disagree 1,000%. And the reason I disagree 1,000% is because 18, 19 times a year, Monster Energy Supercross puts on a show. And within that show, at the arenas all over the country that they go to, they have a legitimate race for points that is as legit as anything NASCAR does. Mm-hmm. There is no reason you can't have the show. There's no reason you can't bring a show like this. I don't expect Ice Cube to perform at every freaking NASCAR race. But you can. This is what I expected Monster Energy to do when Monster Energy came into NASCAR. I expected them to bring the show aspect to the track. And we haven't seen that. We saw it here this weekend. And I'd like to see more of that. I would like to see more of that stuff. I would like to see more of, you know, Supercross it's main event time, right? They get on the microphone, they're cheering, talking up the beginning of the race before the gate drop. They're playing rock music or whatever, that type of stuff. We don't do that at NASCAR races. We put MRN on the broadcast, which is awesome to listen to MRN at the racetrack. But why not get somebody to hype up the crowd at the track, you know? All that stuff. It's all part of the show. All these tracks are tearing backstretch seats out, putting people on the front stretch so they can be more exposed to the show. But we don't have the show yet, and I think we could do it every weekend. Personally. So
yeah. I mean, and if we start doing smaller facilities, it's definitely more of an opportunity. I mean, the more road courses we add, that makes it a little bit more tricky, but you can have pockets of things like that.
Right. James, with the success of this and the way the cars handle on this racetrack, does this ease your mind for a street course?
Yeah.
It does for me, because now I saw that we can have a competitive race with flat turns with this car.
Cars can drive.
Yeah. I don't think we could have done it with the last car, but this car, I'm fully in support of trying a street course.
Yeah. This car can drive.
Yeah.
This car can drive. This was a great test. I mean, sounds like the industry's not so much worried about the integrity of the cars as maybe I am.
Yeah. Let's transition to that. Let's talk about the car.
Yeah. I'd like to talk about the car. Yeah, I mean, we can leave the event of the Clash in the rear view a little bit, but maybe in closing on that, and Eric, I had to eat some crow, man. I was worried about it. From the start, and NASCAR did what I asked them to do.
Yeah,
please. And I feel like I am validated in wishing that it wasn't a crap show after what happened last season with some of the races that we had.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And they delivered. I mean, they delivered. So
I didn't doubt that our drivers would deliver, because this is the Cup Series. I mean, these guys are the best.
The series delivered.
They're the best of the best. But so I was nervous. Let me say this. I was excited about this from the beginning. I think if you go back on the podcast, I don't know if I expressed it or not, but I was really looking forward to this race, and I was excited about the prospect of this. But I was concerned and very skeptical until I saw the track. Once they had the walls up, once they had the asphalt down, I saw they put freaking safer barriers on the thing, I was no longer concerned. I knew that the drivers would perform on the track. It was whether the track was going to be acceptable enough to do it.
Yep.
And once I saw that stuff, I knew we were good. We did Eldora with trucks, which was impossible.
Yep.
And those guys managed to make it work, and we've seen what the Truck Series have done over the years. So if the Truck Series can do it on dirt, then the Cup Series can do it in the Coliseum.
Yep.
So,
let's
talk about the car. So we had some failures. I think the biggest thing I saw was Contact with the front wheels, man. Ripped suspension out of these things.
Oh yeah, big time.
That makes me a little nervous when we're running 200 miles an hour that we're going to have tires flying off of them. But, I guess something I didn't consider, what you brought up, and I heard on some of the podcasts over the last day, this was a freaking torture test for these cars.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they weren't going fast, but they were taking a beating.
They were stressed. Yep.
So maybe it performed better than what it appears that they did.
Yeah, I mean, we saw 2 drivetrains blow out at the exact same lap, and I think that was probably the most concerning thing.
Which the drivers have basically said it was their own fault.
Yep, they both did the same thing, and Chase Briscoe was shifting, and they made note of that during the broadcast. Chase Briscoe doing a lot of shifting, and then Tyler Reddick, that was a bummer because he was leading the race when he blew his out. But yeah, the other stuff was like Denny Hamlin power steering, and then Ryan Preece overheated.
Yep.
The heating thing could be an issue at Daytona. Hard to say just yet.
I mean, there was no airflow here for these cars.
Yeah, and we're gonna find out. And these cars, Eric, from the start, have run hot. Yep. So, I mean, we've got a dang vent in the windshield that's driving our buddy Todd crazy.
There's a vent in the windshield, and the rear window has vents as well.
Yeah, it's driving our buddy Todd crazy that we have to vent the windshield.
Yeah.
Because the name's pushed over, but
which didn't bother me.
Yeah, I mean, but the cars, as far as the bodies are concerned, look fantastic.
Yeah.
That is a sexy looking race car.
They are.
The Mustang.
That Mustang is the coolest looking car I've ever seen.
The Mustangs and the Camaros. I mean, the body lines on them are just really, really nice.
Man, so they look wide.
They look wide. The wheelbases look really long. I'm still getting used to the way the tires look on the cars. But
I like it, man. I really like it all. I like the looks of the cars. I like the fact that they look. I don't think they actually are. I think because I guess the center of gravity is higher in them, but they look more low profile than what we've had.
Yeah, it's because the tires are so thin. Too.
Yeah, the low profile tires, the low sidewalls, the bigger wheels. I'm a fan of the aluminum wheels. I can't wait till they can start painting those things. That's going to be awesome.
Yep. So Eric, I did an experiment during the race this weekend. So my wife has no idea what's going on with the numbers.
Yeah,
not one clue.
Okay.
So I just casually, I'm like, hey, look at that. Look at those cars out there. What do you think of the paint schemes on these?
Uh-huh.
And she looked at the cars like puzzled, made a face, and goes, "What's wrong with the numbers?"
Really?
She's like, it looks terrible. I'm like, thank you. I threw my hands up. I'm like, thank you. That's all I needed to hear.
Well,
thank you.
Here we go, James. This is where we're going to disagree. I didn't give a crap.
It looks terrible.
It still looks terrible. Thought they looked. We were 3 laps into practice, and I already forgot about the numbers, James.
Yeah, I won't forget it.
Yeah, I'm a purist, man. I love them on the door, but I don't care. It does not bother me. I think they look fine. And the exposure the sponsors get as a result of it, if that makes them happy, sweet.
The problem is not the numbers sliding forward as much as the paint schemes, the lazy paint schemes around the numbers.
Yeah, but you have lazy paint schemes with the numbers on the door too.
Some of these teams just botched it, and they decided to go big font, big logo. That's it. That's our upgrade. The Kyle Larson's car looks absolutely horrid. But on the contrary, the paint schemes that Stuart Haas is cranking out look fantastic.
Yeah.
You compare the Ream paint scheme of Kevin Harvick's number 4 car to the Ream paint scheme of the 20 car. It's complete 180. The 20 car looks absolutely terrible, while the balance on the 4 car looks absolutely fantastic. And for the record, my wife is a professional graphic designer, so I will take her word in stone. Thank you.
James, there is not a better looking car on the racetrack. There was not this weekend than the Violet Defense number 6 car.
Yeah, it was good.
That is a nice looking car. The chrome numbers. I didn't think I gave a crap about chrome numbers, but the chrome numbers look beautiful on that car.
The paint schemes that Roush, what is it? Roush Fenway Keselowski?
Yeah.
RFK,
yeah.
The paint schemes they're doing are top notch. They are very good.
Yes.
And yeah, Brad's Kohler car looks good that he'll run, I think, in Daytona. I saw Bass Pro Shops is coming back to the number 3 for Austin Dillon. That car looks good. So there are cars that look good.
See, so James, the problem is not the number placement. The problem is crappy designers, right?
Yeah, it's driving me nuts. Yep.
Because I'm looking at this Keselowski car right now, and I think it looks awesome.
It looks good. Yeah.
I mean, it just didn't bother me. And you know what? They fixed the problem. The teams all fixed the problem that we were complaining about when we first saw these paint schemes. The number is forward, but it's not sitting on the fender. There's a little bit of a space there. Yep. I'm just good with it. I'm fine with it. And I kind of like the fact that it differentiates it from the other 2 series. Yep. You're looking at a cup car.
Yep.
And I think I like the car enough that I'm willing to accept the number. So.
Yeah, well, it's still stupid. Listen, I'm not going to give in, man.
I know you're not.
I will be the last man standing. That's fine. I don't like the numbers moving forward. But that being said, just design the paint schemes better, and I think I'll be okay.
So, here we go. We have breaking news, James.
Oh, I think you're going where I'm going because I have it pulled up.
Daytona 500. No,
go ahead.
Daytona.
No, go ahead.
The Daytona 500 winning car. We discussed this off air. Daytona 500 winning car will remain at the speedway overnight and be present for the celebratory breakfast the following morning, but the team will be allowed to take it back to the shop. So,
yes.
The Daytona 500 winning car will go back to the team because there's a car shortage, which I think is good. I mean, it's cool that they keep the car there. It's cool when you go to Daytona that you can see the car. But now the Daytona USA isn't there anymore. Who cares?
Why don't they just take the body off of it and?
Yeah.
I don't know.
If they're gonna put the car somewhere, why don't they put it in the Hall of Fame, not at Daytona?
No. I had other breaking news that I was waiting for.
I missed that one.
No, so JGR said they have a new driver announcement tomorrow, and you would think who would you think? So JGR said they're planning a new driver. Who would you say is their new driver?
Ty Gibbs,
possibly in the experience. Yes, Ty Gibbs.
Yeah.
However, coming on Race Hub tomorrow, this is a leaked image.
Oh no!
Former Daytona 500 winner Trevor Bayne.
Oh, no way.
Might be going to Joe Gibbs Racing. It's not confirmed, but that's what I'm seeing all over the interwebs.
Didn't JGR pull that last year too with the big announcement that was nothing?
Probably.
Whoever's doing their social media.
It could be Ty Gibbs. But yeah, there's a lot of Trevor Bayne.
Interesting.
Boy, that would be fun.
Interesting.
But yeah, I think it's Ty Gibbs, but there's a lot of Trevor Bayne noise out there. Pretty cool.
I was going on JSK to look at paint schemes, but I'm moving on. One thing I want to go back to with the car, James. It concerned me a little bit during the race that there were some mechanical failures. But in the day and a half since the race that I've been able to think about it, I'm glad.
It's fine.
I'm good with it. Let's have some stuff break, man.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
I mean, I don't want to manufacture brakes, but if stuff is going to break, I miss that. Mm-hmm. It sucks when it's my driver. It sucks when it's the leader and it costs him a race. But we haven't had mechanical failures in this sport for a while, and it's time to, get back to that a little bit. Put some stress on these things.
Yep, and it's going to be
interesting the first half of the season.
Yeah, and it'll go away.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to see some attrition this year.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, Eric, the way the playoffs are set up right now, you can have it and it won't be a problem.
Right.
Just go win a dang race.
Yeah. Back to the race real quick. One thing I wanted to touch on that we didn't. I realize everybody's saying, and I realize why, from a sponsor perspective and a charter's perspective, you can't. But what would you think if NASCAR said, you know what, we're going to do one of these as a points-paying race?
I don't know.
I'm good with it.
I don't know.
I'm good with it. You know what I loved about it? You want to know what the biggest win for this race for me was, James?
What's that?
It wasn't the Coliseum. It wasn't the new car. It wasn't the new fan base. The big win for me was the fact that one guy was locked in. One guy. Yeah. Sucks for Brad Keselowski. Sucks for Kurt Busch. 2 past champions did not make the field for the main event. Yep. But that's the way it should be.
But Ryan Preece was in.
Yeah, but that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
Justin Haley, a rookie, was in.
Mm-hmm. Harrison Burton got the luck of the penalty, and he was in.
Yep.
So
that's the way our sport should be, and that's what I like about Supercross is you run 22 bikes in the main event, and if your champions, your top guys get 2 chances. They get their heat race and they get a last chance race, and if they don't qualify, they don't race in the main. And I like it. I am totally good with that. I think you could do this as I wouldn't do it every week. Now, something I thought might be interesting is in the middle of the season, you do a stadium series where you run 4 of these for its own championship or whatever, or you do exhibition races or something like that.
What if you had like a short track? It would be just on short tracks.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Be good with that.
Be a format change specifically for short tracks. Then you have a short track. You can call them the short track champion or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You give the 24 everybody who doesn't make the main, they get 24th place points. Okay.
Yeah.
Good to go. And and the they talked about on DBC, the guys who didn't make the main ran a 10 laps heat race, or what are they? 25 lap heat race. 25 lap heat race, 50 lap last chance qualifier. They had 75 laps where they were in front of the TV audience and the crowd. They got their exposure. Brad Keselowski got way more exposure not making the race than he would have running in the back of the feature.
Yep, absolutely.
So I don't know. James, I'm hard pressed to find much that went wrong with this. Could the race have been a little bit better? Yeah. Could the ending could have been more, exciting? Yeah. But I think all around, it's just hard to pick anything bad that went wrong.
Yeah. What's the saying? Soup to nuts. Everything was perfect.
Yeah.
Yep. It was not perfect, but it didn't have to be. It needed to be a show, and it was a full-blown event.
The one surprise that I had was that they didn't anchor the jersey barriers to the track.
Yeah.
I was pretty surprised when they hit those and they just slid, especially with people standing in the infield.
Yeah. But again, it didn't take long to fix them.
No.
So that was good.
No, all around, just pat on the back for NASCAR. Great job.
Yep.
So anything else with the Clash? I told you it was going to be a normal podcast, James.
It was.
I know we still got some stuff, but it won't take long.
No, we got some other things to rip through real quick, but no, I think I'm glad it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you to everybody in the NASCAR industry who made it happen, because it was definitely fun. I've had fun with some of the new ideas that NASCAR's had over the years, and this was definitely the most successful for sure.
How comfortable do you feel with Ben Kennedy
I'm
taking more of a leadership role in this company?
He knows. Yeah. It's definitely better than Brian France.
Well, and the best part about it is that Ben Kennedy's raced him. He's been in the cars.
Yeah, and I was gonna mention this, and I'll do that right now because kudos to Ben Kennedy. But Eric, on Sunday morning, I received an email from Steve Phelps.
Yes.
Did you receive that email?
I did receive that email. That was awesome.
What? Old school letter to the fan.
Yep.
I'm not going to read the whole letter. I'm looking at it, but basically it's just a thank you, and we got, basically Steve Phelps is like, we got you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And we hope you enjoy the next generation of NASCAR. I thought that was classy as heck, man.
Yep.
That they did that. And it caught my attention. And normally old school traditional marketing doesn't catch my attention like that, but it was really well done. And Mr. Phelps, I did enjoy the Busch Light Clash, so thank you for doing that.
Yeah, we took a race that 2 years ago we were sitting on this very podcast saying, do we need to do this anymore?
Yep.
And now it's a spectacle. It's an event.
Yep.
It's
because of a vision of Ben Kennedy.
Yep.
And the NASCAR leadership to make it happen.
Yep. James, I get really upset with the people that want to trash on NASCAR, and I understand the purists that maybe don't like what the sport's become. But I'm sorry, give it a shot, man. I get it that some people don't like the playoffs. Some people don't like what the stage is. But in the end, this is an entertainment business.
Yep.
And our job as a sport is to entertain the people watching. And I know a lot of people say stage racing pushed people away, playoffs push people away, but the stands were getting more empty before that stuff was implemented.
Yep.
And if we wouldn't have changed, the same thing would have happened. So.
Yep.
And I'll tell you what, I'm sorry, guys. Those of you that are aging out, I'm 40 years old, and the people that are older than me, you're not the ones that NASCAR is trying to cater to right now, because they need younger fans too. They need the people that are stuck behind their iPads and their iPhones and their video games and all that stuff to enjoy this sport.
You don't want to turn into what baseball is starting to become. Baseball is really in trouble, and NASCAR,
No, and you know what baseball did to fix it? You know what helped baseball this year? They did the same thing we just did this weekend. They went back to their roots. They built a stadium in the freaking field, in a cornfield,
and got some attention.
Got tons of attention for it. I haven't watched a baseball game in forever.
Yeah, and Eric, I don't try to hide my frustrations with the sport.
Right.
And I have many. But I also have to be willing to, when I am loud wrong about something, I have to be able to admit that I'm loud wrong about something.
Right.
Because I want the sport to succeed. And yeah, I mean, I have my issues. But I keep coming back to the sport. I keep coming back to do this show because I love it so much and I want it to succeed. And I rib and joke from time to time about some of the things that they're doing, but really from the start of the pandemic forward, NASCAR's done a pretty darn good job with a lot of craziness that's gone on, changes in the sport and taking the venues elsewhere, new car, Confederate flag being banned, all that. I mean, going way back to the start of the pandemic. So I just, kudos where it's deserved. And it really is deserved for making, making people like me who may still be skeptical, still want to come back. And I'm not giving up on it. And I have a lot of faith in the leadership of the sport right now. And they've done a great job.
Yeah, I agree. And sometimes I'm a bit of a NASCAR cheerleader, probably. I might get on board with more things than you do, at least. But then a lot of people do. But, like you said, I want the sport to succeed, and I like change, and I'm willing to admit that change is necessary. And so
it is. Yep.
So.
Yep. This new car is a great thing. I'm not gonna. I mean, I joke and kid about, how much I hate the number moving forward, but the whole thing, the car itself and everything that they're doing with the car is super important, super vital. It unlocks a whole new future for us with, there's going to be a day where we're talking about what kind of electric, portions of this car are being built in, and we got to be open to, what the world's coming to. I mean, we're in a world fighting a lot of different things, and, NASCAR is going to have to evolve and adjust and take note of things like climate change and what people are buying as far as their cars are concerned. Are they, getting away from, are we getting away from fossil fuels and things like that? I mean, there's a lot of things down the road that are gonna be a hard shift for NASCAR, but this car unlocks that next level for us to be able to flex and move.
Yep. I'm really excited to see this car at Daytona, see what we're going to get with it. I'm excited to see it at California and on some of the traditional tracks.
Me too.
I'm more optimistic after this weekend because I think they got a hell of a torture test. But there's only so much you can learn on a quarter-mile track going a top speed of about 75 miles an hour. So a lot of unknowns still, but I'm excited about it. I can't wait to see the sucker go on a 2.5 mile track. I do think, and we'll preview Daytona next week. But I do think that we're going to see a different Daytona 500 as a result of maybe some people. I don't know. Some of these guys are going to be making business decisions and going to be worried about tearing cars up. But these guys all get stupid when they put the helmet on and start the engine.
Yep.
So.
Oh yeah.
So
no doubt.
When it's the last lap of the Daytona 500, they're all going to be going for it because they all want that trophy in the end. So.
Yep.
With that, we'll leave the Clash in the rearview mirror. James, we have one news item on the list. Breaking news today. NASCAR Xfinity Series drivers will have 5 more chances to win a race this year. And that's not because we've increased the racing season by 5 races. It's because Kyle Busch isn't going to compete in the Xfinity Series this year.
Yep, he's out so far.
Yeah.
And I worded it very carefully, not scheduled.
Right.
So I would think that maybe he'll sneak in there, but I
don't know. I thought he was pretty clear last year that he's not going to do it. I know everybody thought he was being cheeky, but.
Yep. Kyle Busch gets a lot of crap for being a crier and a whiner, but you know who is a bigger crier and a whiner than Kyle Busch?
Who's
The
that?
fans who don't like Kyle
Oh
Busch
my
racing in the
God.
lower levels of NASCAR.
No kidding. I know one. He's looking at me right now on a Zoom call.
Hey, if I remember correctly, I won that argument. Limiting
Yeah.
Kyle Busch has been better.
No, and not just limiting Kyle Busch, but limiting the Cup Series
Yeah.
drivers. Somebody asked on Sirius today on Dave Moody's show on whether he thought that now that Kyle's not running the Xfinity Series anymore, that NASCAR would change the rule back and allow Cup Series drivers in. And obviously that's stupid. NASCAR's not going to do that. But I'm also glad they're not going to. Because I think you proved your point last year that we've seen a better Xfinity Series as a result.
It's been the series has definitely been stronger.
I think we've not only has the series been stronger, but we've been able to blossom some characters coming into the Cup Series. The Harrison Burtons, that
Gregson.
Yeah, these guys that are coming up that we probably wouldn't have really known who the hell they were.
Even Cindric,
Cindric, Cole Custer. I mean, those guys are all winners of the fact that the Cup drivers aren't running every weekend. So they've been allowed to make a name for themselves. And Custer came up and he hasn't done a whole lot. He did win a race in his first season, but
for sure. And Kyle Busch went out. I mean, you can't beat what he did last year.
Yeah, if you're gonna go out.
He was 5 for 5 and led over half the laps he ran.
Right.
Last year he did not lose. He was unbeaten.
Yeah.
Which I'm looking at all of the races he's run. My God. He's
got a good average of race wins in the Xfinity Series.
8.9 average finish. And his before they limited him, 4 times he went double digits in wins. Oh man. Yeah, 102 total wins in 362 career starts. Just unbelievable.
Did Kyle ever win? He never won an Xfinity championship once he raced in Cup, did he?
No, 2009 he won his Xfinity championship.
So I find it funny that everybody hates Kyle Busch, but Carl Edwards won an Xfinity championship.
I
believe Kevin Harvick did it too.
Brad Keselowski did it.
Yeah, while they were running the Cup Series. So why? I know
Brad Keselowski was the Rookie of the Year in the Cup Series and won the Xfinity title. I think Carl. What year did Harvick's done it twice?
Yeah,
Harvick
did it in 2001, didn't he? I think he won the title in 2001.
Man, I'm looking at Kyle Busch's numbers, and they just when you look at just the Xfinity Series, he looks like the greatest driver of all time.
Do you know why everybody gets upset about Kyle Busch racing the Xfinity Series?
Because he's loud.
That's why.
He's loud.
KFB.
His 2016 season, he ran 17 races and had 10 wins and 14 top 5s and top 10s. He had a 5.5 average finish in 17. That's half the season. 5.5 average finish. And this is even better. Oh my God, I didn't even realize this. 2014. I know I didn't think we were going to eulogize Kyle Busch's Xfinity career. 2014, he ran 26 events, Eric. He had 25 top 5s and top 10s. He had 7 wins. His average finish in 26 starts was 2.8.
Oh my God.
Unbelievable. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable. His numbers are just out of control. He really perfected the series. I'd say he perfected the series probably in 2008.
Do you think he was a better Cup driver he's been a better Cup driver because of that, or do you think he lost potential in the Cup Series because of this? Like, did he concentrate too much on Xfinity and not win as much as he could have in the Cup Series?
Well, the less he's run Xfinity, the worse he's been in the Cup car. Yeah. That seems to be a correlation.
I mean, I do think we saw last year with no practice that Kyle Busch is a great driver, but Kyle Busch needs seat time to be a great driver.
Yeah, he does. He likes to sit in the car.
He's not Kyle Larson. He can't just get in and win on everything. Yep. He's got to practice.
Eric, I've got another good Kyle Busch stat for you. I just love
these. I could do these all day long, man.
I love these. This will be my last one, I promise. 2010, the year Brad Keselowski won the title. Brad Keselowski won the title. Carl Edwards was second. They each ran 35 races. Kyle Busch ran 29 races and finished third in the standings. 700. Now this is a different point system back in the day.
Right.
700 points out of first place. Had he run the entire season, he may have won the championship. Brad Keselowski was really good that season, but Kyle had 13 wins in those 29 starts and 25 top 10s. Just ridiculous.
That's something. I would like to know where he would have finished in points last year with his 5 wins had he only run those 5 races. Well, had he.
Even if you could get points.
Yeah, if you could get points. Obviously, yeah, with the playoffs and stuff, you'd never know. But I would love to know where he would have finished.
That was the year that broke the Xfinity Series point system, because when Brad, Carl, and Kyle were the top 3 in points, that the very next year was the year they were kicked out.
Yeah.
Of the they were kicked. No more Cup drivers being allowed to race for points after that.
I wasn't in favor of it, but in the end, I think it was a good decision. So.
Oh, it's been 11 years now.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
Well, that is crazy that it's been that long. But yeah, 2011 was the first year, and I remember after the Daytona weekend, all of the drivers who won races that weekend were not earning points in their respective series.
Yep.
So
he's done this before. If you look at the Truck Series, 5 for 5 in 2019. I'm not going to do this anymore. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, 2011, just because I was there, so I've got the history in my mind. Michael Waltrip won the Truck Series race, wasn't racing for points because he was racing for points in the Cup Series. Landon Castle won the Xfinity Series race. He was also not racing for points in the Xfinity Series. And, of course, Trevor Bayne won the Cup race, and he was getting Xfinity Series points at the time. So
yeah. We had, no race winners for points at that rate. Yeah, I remember that now. Yep. That's a good point.
All right, James. So we'll be back next week. No race this weekend, but we'll come back next week. We will preview the 2022 Daytona 500 and the upcoming season. We will discuss with you guys what we'll be doing for our picks throughout the season, because James and I are still figuring that out, but I think we got something that's going to work. Change it up a little bit this year to be a little bit more interesting. And then what else? We're going to we'll go through our questions, our predictions on the season that we do every year horribly.
Boy, this is going to be a rough one with this new car. I don't even know where to start.
Well, and let's go back to that, James, real quick. So we saw Cody Ware perform really well this weekend. We saw Ryan Preece perform really well. We saw Justin Haley perform really well.
Eric
Jones performed great.
Tyler Reddick
Tyler Reddick. I mean, for one, I think Tyler Reddick and Austin Dillon are two, especially Tyler Reddick, because I think Tyler Reddick's got a heck of a lot of talent. I think you're going to see those two really benefit from this car. But I mean, it's one race and it's on a 1/4-mile track that is nothing like anything we're going to run. But do you feel that was a good sign for what we're going to see this year as far as parity?
It looked like the bottom, now a combination of the car and the track. Yeah, it looked like the floor was higher.
Yeah.
But I don't know where the ceiling is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I get you.
Like I don't know. Like Kyle Larson for moments looked like Kyle Larson again until the car faded on him. So it might
have been that heavy left side contact when he put Justin Haley into the wall.
Right. And I don't know. Like I could see, like Ryan Preece showed us, and that's a Stewart Haas car. I get it, but
yeah.
Ryan Preece showed us that there is a new floor for the sport. We're not. If Hendrick's up here, I know this isn't a visual medium, but if Hendrick is here, BJ McLeod's not here anymore. He's like here.
Well, I don't know, but BJ McLeod sucked.
It was terrible.
But was that a business decision?
Could have been,
because it sounded like, according to DBC, that it was.
Yeah, and I would say Brad was on that list. I already mentioned that.
Yeah, I'm definitely wondering about that. Of course, Brad tweeted out before the race, kind of a warning that things are going to get rough at times or be rough at times, but he's prepared.
Yeah, he didn't drive like he wanted to rough up his car.
Yeah,
was my opinion.
He's a new owner. This is it's a
new
whole new world for him. Yeah.
Yep.
James, real quick, give me a grade on Tony Stewart in the booth.
Oh man, he was better than I thought he would be.
I agree with you.
He wasn't an A. He was probably a B+.
Yeah, he wasn't Dale Jr., but yeah, I'm with you. Probably B+.
He had really good. He was really analytical, and I didn't expect that. I did not expect that from him.
For some reason, James, I know I joke about Tony, like, just giving up on NASCAR. He is not around anymore. Now he's chasing drag race and all that stuff and SRX. But for something. I guess in my joking about it, I guess I convinced myself that Tony's been so out of the loop in NASCAR that he's going to come in and just be useless. But I mean, like you said, he was really, really knowledgeable about it. He was very analytical. There was some ribbon with Clint Boyer, which was good. I enjoyed that.
Well,
Clint was scaled back a little bit, but
yeah. Well, and when Tony steps back, he stepped back for a long time, and I think we forget how you're not sharp. He's got the sharpest tongue in the history of the sport,
right.
And you don't have a sharp tongue like that without being really intelligent.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I think that is an underrated thing of Tony Stewart. I don't even correlate the two. I don't think of Tony Stewart as an ultra intelligent guy, but Eric, he's built a racing empire.
Yeah.
He knows racing probably better than anybody when you talk
even just like when
business.
We've heard him talk about Eldora and what he does there, and everybody likes to give him credit for running Eldora, and he's like, no, I just let the smart people do it. And this,
but dude, the guy knows how to pack dirt.
Mm-hmm.
He knows how to drive a car.
Yeah,
and he knows how to run a business.
Yeah,
he knows it all.
And he's as much as I like I said, as much as I give him crap, he's hands on when he needs to be and not when he doesn't need to be. He knows where his strengths are, and I gained a lot of respect for him in the booth. I thought he's been in the booth before. We've heard him in the booth before, but I was really impressed.
He's gonna do good in the 500.
Yes,
he'll be good. He'll be good in the 500.
Well, one thing I hadn't considered too, James, going into this is not only was Tony, not only is Tony, but Tony had more experience than Tony and Clint had more experience than most because they both drove this car on a track very similar to this.
At Bowman Gray,
yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
So great move by Fox to get him for this race, to be honest.
Yeah, and I'm excited for the rotating booth out of Fox. Mm-hmm. Tony might be the best one they get. I don't know. We'll see.
Could be. Where else? The thing is it's really easy to go to the well for Xfinity because the Cup drivers aren't racing the Xfinity races. But who you want to put in the booth for a Cup race?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough unless you go get Danica.
Oh God, don't do that to me.
CBS did that.
Yeah, Danica's with CBS. Fox ain't gonna get her.
No. Can we call Alan Bestwick?
Man,
can we make room?
He won't be an analyst, but
can we make some room for Alan Bestwick?
Mike Joy wouldn't be the guy I would move out to bring Alan Bestwick in.
It's tough, man.
But
that's tough.
I would love to have Alan. Even with Mike Joy slipping the last couple of years, you will not see me give the boot to Mike Joy.
Mike Joy knows television, man.
Mike Joy knows. Mike Joy has been in NASCAR forever.
Eric, Mike Joy is like us on the podcast. Yeah. He just knows how to play he knows how to play the right moves to get the other guy to get going. You
cannot compare us to Mike Joy.
I was trying.
We aren't even on his level. We're not even. We can't even see his level, man.
No, God, no.
We're so far in the basement. He's on the penthouse suite.
Now, Dave Moody.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
No, I don't know. Dave Moody's one of the best too in the business for MRN at least. TV, I could see Dave struggling with TV, but Dave's good on the radio. So
yeah,
he's definitely got a face for radio, right?
Well, and he's one of the goats, man.
Yeah, he is, man. It's like
been around forever now.
Yeah, hearing him is like hearing Barney Hall. It's that voice is MRN.
Yep, absolutely.
James, you got any shout outs this week?
Oh man. Oh shoot, I did, and I can't remember what it was. I saw on Instagram this guy was doing his own drawings of not just NASCAR, but crap. It was a bunch of really cool. I'm gonna see if I can find it quick. Really cool homegrown drawings of race cars, like classic race cars. It was really cool. I wanted to shout them out. Oh, here it is. I got it. It's driven_designs, all one word on Instagram, driven_designs. And they're like cartoonish images, but they're like super accurate. I'm looking at a 1993 McLaren from the F1 series. He's got a next gen take on the 21 car for Harrison Burton. So it's pretty cool stuff, man. I don't know. It caught my eye. You're scrolling through Instagram and you see some things like Instagram has these algorithms for you. And this is how I found Barron Speedway. Doing the same type of thing. I just thought these graphic designs that this guy's doing is really, really cool. So I thought I'd shout it out. So driven_designs on Instagram. There's my shout out.
There you go. I'm gonna give a shout out to Lefty again. I think we've shouted him out.
He's all over, man.
Yeah, Lefty Designs Insta is his Instagram. Lefty designed the Chase Elliott Hooters car for this year, and I believe doesn't he have a couple other ones too this year?
He's got a bunch, dude. He's in now.
Yeah,
he's in.
This guy, can design some cars, man. He's what the sport needs. James is talking about people that have failed on paint schemes. They're not lefties schemes that have failed.
No,
Lefties are good.
Lefty's great. No, Lefty's, man, what a story. And we've talked about his story before,
Yep.
and you can find it on the internet if you do a little search. But man, I'm so glad that somehow he's another one who stumbled across my Instagram feed.
Yeah, you clued me in on both him and Barron.
Yeah, I mean, it's just and probably through even Derek Winter, knowing that he had followed Lefty back in the day too. But man, it's cool to see. What a story. He got on Jimmy's car, and
Yep.
you know, now he's got die casts with his schemes on him. That's pretty cool.
So cool.
Yeah.
Jackass Corner, you going where I'm thinking you're going?
You want to go first?
I can go first.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna give Jackass Corner to Fox, as much as I think they did some great things this weekend. Missing the Hans toss from Blaney, man.
Yeah.
That's a big fail. It's the freaking LA Coliseum. You can put one camera and capture everything, and they somehow missed that. But yeah, so, and if they didn't miss it, shame on them for not airing it.
Yep.
So there you go.
Very good. I'm going to use Jackass Corner for a self-own. I am the jackass.
Nice.
For giving the Clash as hard of a time as I did, I deserve to be labeled a jackass.
I like it. I take mine back. I'm going with that one too.
I mean, honestly, I was hard on the event. I've talked about it, but you know, I ate some crow for breakfast on Monday morning. That's fine. It tasted delicious. I'll get them next time.
Good. I'm glad you failed on that one, because you know, we didn't need a black eye. We needed a successful weekend. We needed that one that
yes, we did.
We needed one that was talked about for the right reasons, and this was it. So
yep, we just certainly did. Absolutely.
There you go. James, where can people find you on social media if they want to hit you up before the 500?
At James Cush on Twitter. And Eric, I will mention that is where I will share a link to the Fantasy League, and
perfect.
The Fantasy League I will share on our Facebook homepage. So at James Cush on Twitter, look out for that. We got some time. The Fantasy League's not ready just yet from NASCAR. So as soon as it is, I'm pushing that bad boy out.
There you go.
And if you're already in the Fantasy League, you don't have to do anything but log in, and you should be able to see it. But if you want to join us, we have a lot of fun. We had our champ Ranger running on a couple weeks ago. Come and try to beat him, and we'll get after it again. I know how much Eric loves it. That's why I'm bringing it back.
There you go. I will not commit to what the prize will be for winning this season. We'll come up with something. Don't get excited. It's not going to be worth a bunch of money or anything like that, because we make nothing on this podcast and spend a lot. So, but we'll find something. We'll figure out something to gift you, whether it's another podcast appearance, whether it's some shout. I don't know. We'll figure out something for the winner. But I can't. I'm not committing to it yet because I don't have an idea yet. So. You can find me at TSuperspeedway on Twitter. You can find the podcast on Facebook, as James mentioned, facebook.com/thesuperspeedway. Our website is thesuperspeedway.com. You can find old episodes of the podcast, show notes for every episode, links to all the articles we discuss, past race coverage, photos. All that stuff can be found on there. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and now Facebook. Yeah. So I think I figured it out. I think it's set up on there. So
I set it up on my work account, and it blasted all of my information that I didn't want on there, because I had the entire show notes post on a post. I was like, no, not what I want for my. And this is not for the Super Speedway. This is my own my real job, I should say. And so I got that figured out on my end. But yeah, it looks like it's working, man. Cool. And it's kind of cool if you want to listen that way. I think Facebook's kind of late in the game, but yeah, they're there, so it's cool.
Yeah, well, however you listen, we hope you keep doing it. We appreciate everyone who does. We hope you subscribe and listen every week. Like I said, we'll be back next week. We will preview the Daytona 500, preview the 2022 season, and then it's on, James. The season begins. We'll be rolling with the next gen car. Pretty excited. See you guys next week, and until then, everybody, let's go racing. The kiss of death for every episode is when James goes, I think it's going to be a short one this week.
I knocked on wood.
Yeah.